Alyssa Thomas will be getting fined for doing this in Indianapolis
because they chose to break the rule.
And Alyssa Thomas refused to go into the press conference,
making a complete fool of herself.
She went hiding.
Alyssa Thomas and the Indiana Fever fan base, the big rivalry, telling somebody to come down there. She's like, meet me after the game. Look at her. Meet me after the game.
Alyssa Thomas had all the smoke. She had the big smoke.
Get ready for a rant.
Fever fans took some solace.
Just 2 minutes ago, Alyssa Thomas was fined after refusing to speak to the media. And fans believe it's all because of Caitlin Clark. She had all the smoke during the game, clapping back at fans. But when it was time to face questions, she vanished.
Stop hiding, Alyssa.
Alyssa Thomas in that game to a noticeable degree. She was complaining about it seemingly everything.
Meanwhile, Caitlin keeps showing up. Every game, every press conference, every moment. If you stand with Caitlin Clark, drop a 100% in the comments right now. Let's get into what really went down.
Some players don't just play the game, they change it. Caitlin Clark is one of those players.
During the Fever versus Mercury game, Alyssa Thomas brought the heat, clapping back at fans, talking trash.
Alyssa Thomas going back and forth with a fan, man. I mean, she just, I don't know if she just can't ignore anybody that's just coming at her, you know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure it's not anything racist or anything like that. I just think they get under her skin.
And reportedly shouting things like, I came to a real basketball team.
Look, check her out. She telling somebody to come down there. She is telling somebody to come down there. She's like, meet me after the game. Look at her. Meet me after the game.
In defense of her partner, DeWanna Bonner.
Thomas just told fans around the bench she came to play for a real team several times.
The crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse wasn't holding back either. The boos rained down for Bonner, who had controversially left the Fever after just 9 games.
And DeWanna Bonner, first time coming back to Indianapolis after pretty much quitting the team,
leaving her teammates during a period of injuries and hardship contracts. Alyssa wasn't having it. She was fired up, emotionally charged and full of attitude.
They're getting under your skin. They are fans. They are allowed to do that.
Some called it big smoke, and fans noticed. Trash talk? Fine. Competitive fire? That's part of the game. But what stunned everyone was what happened after the final buzzer.
He had so much negative energy towards the fans that she would have wanted to answer these questions from the media.
Alyssa Thomas, despite being the Mercury's leading scorer and a required participant in the WNBA's post-game press conferences,
And Alyssa Thomas refused to go into the press conference,
refused to speak to the media.
The media availability rule has been broken by the Phoenix Mercury and was broken last night. No later than 10 minutes following the game, each head coach and 2 players, which is the leading scorer and the key contributor per team, will be available in separate press rooms for an in-person Zoom meeting.
And Alyssa Thomas jawing at it with fans, kind of, making a complete fool of herself. And now she's finna be getting fined because she refused to speak to the media.
Let that sink in. A player who just spent 4 quarters clapping at fans and defending her partner suddenly went silent when it was time to explain her side.
you can't have all the smoke. You cannot be there chirping with fans the whole game. You cannot be allegedly telling fans DeWanna chose to join a real basketball team. You cannot be saying stuff like that and then hide.
According to the WNBA's official 2025 media access policy,
Media availability rule broken last night by the Mercury.
2025 WNBA media access policy states no later than 10 minutes following the game, each head coach and 2 players, leading scorer and key contributor per team, be available in separate press conference room for in-person Zoom meetings.
each team must send 2 players, including the leading scorer, to post-game media, no later than 10 minutes after the final whistle. By ducking out, Alyssa Thomas and the Mercury violated league rules.
So their press conference has not dropped yet.
And the fine came swiftly. Fans across the league saw this as more than a simple media no-show.
Like when things don't go their way, they just refuse to talk to the media, which is so freaking weird to me.
They saw it as a pattern. Fiery energy when the scoreboard favors her, but silence and avoidance when it's time to face consequences. This wasn't a one-off incident either.
Like, Alyssa Thomas is the big bad wolf of the WNBA. She's the bully. She can do whatever the hell she wants. She can ram players over.
Alyssa's history includes on-court aggression, confrontations with players like Angel Reese, and now this, clapping at fans, dodging press, and costing her team a fine. What's even more telling, some fans believe she would have been at that podium if her team had won.
Alyssa Thomas, I mean this when I say this, Alyssa Thomas is one of the physically toughest players in the WNBA, but like, she's charm and soft when it comes to anything else. She would have been there if they won. 1,000,000% AT would have been there.
But because the Mercury lost to a Fever team without Caitlin Clark,
the Fever let her score 32 points.
Alyssa simply bailed. So here's the question everyone's asking. If you're bold enough to stir the fire during the game, shouldn't you be bold enough to stand in the heat afterward? That's the difference between hype and leadership. And in just a moment, we'll show you why Caitlin Clark is built for this spotlight and how she handles it like no one else in the W.
Like, Marshawn Lynch literally sat in an interview and stated, "I'm only here so I won't get fined."
While Alyssa Thomas was busy dodging the media after her team's loss, one name kept shining brighter: Caitlin Clark. The truth is, everything about the recent drama makes one thing crystal clear. Caitlin Clark is built different. Let's rewind for a second. Caitlin didn't even play in that game against the Mercury. She sat out, and yet her presence, or the idea of her, was so loud that it practically dominated the post-game headlines.
Alyssa Thomas in that game to a noticeable degree. She was complaining about it seemingly everything throughout the entire game. So I'm sure Fever fans took some solace.
Alyssa Thomas clapping at Fever fans and reportedly yelling, "I joined a real team."
Thomas just told fans around the bench she came to play for a real team several times.
Wasn't just defending DeWanna Bonner. She was defending their shared narrative that has been slowly unraveling ever since Clark entered the WNBA. Because here's the real tension. Caitlin Clark's rise has changed the entire ecosystem of the league, and not everyone can handle it. You see, while some players are rattled by fan noise, media attention, or public pressure, Caitlin Clark has thrived in it since high school. One viral clip resurfaced recently. A teenage Caitlin in a packed gym being heckled loudly by fans. And how did she respond? Not by arguing, not by hiding. She lit the scoreboard up, dominated in silence. Let her game talk.
Caitlin Clark in high school getting heckled by fans and responds by dominating. No asking why, complaining. You telling me Caitlin Clark in high school did better with fans than many WNBA players? This is high school.
That's not just maturity, that's championship mentality. Fast forward to now, and it's the same story. Caitlin Clark has faced more pressure, criticism, and coverage than probably any rookie in WNBA history. From on-court hard fouls to off-court debates, from targeted physicality to being left off Team USA, she's had every excuse to fold, but she never did. She's never ducked a press conference, never blamed fans, never played the victim. Every time she's asked a tough question, she shows up with poise. That's leadership, and it's no wonder why legends and veterans, including opponents, have publicly said what others hesitate to admit. Caitlin Clark is the face of the WNBA. Even Sophie Cunningham couldn't hold back anymore. In a podcast clip that exploded online, Sophie said, "When people say she's not the face of the league, you're dumb."
Sophie Cunningham podcast is still making headlines. She just retweeted this.
And it literally like pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What? When people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as fuck.
And she's right. The numbers don't lie. Caitlin Clark's games dominate TV ratings. The Fever average 1.26 million viewers per game, far above the league average. WNBA viewership is up 21% this season. And Caitlin is the primary reason. Even non-Fever games rarely break 700K. But when Clark is playing, it peaks past 1 million regularly. This is historic, unprecedented. We're watching the WNBA's most marketable star do more in her rookie season than most do in a decade. But here's the twist. The pressure Caitlin carries, It doesn't just come from fans, it comes from within the league. And that's why Alyssa Thomas's silence hits so hard. Because when veterans who've been in the league for years can't take a few boos or tough questions, while Caitlin Clark takes on the World Weekly with a smile and a soundbite, it shows who's really built for this. And let's not forget, Caitlin's not just bringing fans, she's elevating her team.
You cannot push aside your greatest assets. You can't take the spotlight off of them.
She turned the Fever from a forgotten squad to a playoff contender. She transformed the atmosphere of every arena she enters. Whether she's on the floor or not, even when she doesn't score, the offense moves better. The cameras still follow. The excitement doesn't dip. Why? Because fans know she's the spark. She's the headline. She's the reason people care again.
Some players don't just play the game, they change it. Caitlin Clark is one of those players.
And that's not just hype, that's impact. So while some stars hide behind fines and frustrations, Caitlin Clark keeps showing up. For her team, her fans, and the league that needed her more than it ever admitted. And the question fans are now asking is, why can Caitlin carry the weight of the league with grace, while others crack under a few boos? That's why she's the face. That's why she's the future. And that's why this fine isn't just about media policy. It's about who's ready for the spotlight and who still runs from it.
Indiana Fever fans proved the Warner Bonner right that, Indiana's not the right place for her.
To understand why Alyssa Thomas refused to speak to the media, you have to go back to the real reason this drama even started. DeWanna Bonner's sudden exit from the Indiana Fever, and how it exposed a deeper fracture within the WNBA. Let's be blunt. DeWanna Bonner quit on the Fever after just 9 games. That's not an exaggeration. Even her own defenders admit the fit wasn't working. But what's shocking isn't that she left. It's how she left. In the middle of a season plagued with injuries and hardship contracts, when the team was stretched thin, she walked away. Quietly. Quickly. No real explanation, no proper send-off, and most importantly, no accountability. She didn't travel with the team, didn't tough it out, didn't give it time to settle. Instead, reports suggest she maneuvered herself straight to Phoenix.
Like DeWanna Bonner left the Indiana Fever in a time of adversity when multiple players were injured. They had to sign hardship contracts, did not give it much time. 9 games was it. Asking for a trade.
The fit just wasn't working. But at the end of the day, all of it points to the arrows of what? Quitting the basketball team.
A title contending team that just happens to have her life partner, Alyssa Thomas, on the roster. And that's when fans felt betrayed. Imagine investing in a player, buying the jersey, showing up to support, and then watching her abandon ship in less than 10 games. That's not just a basketball move. It's personal for fans who ride or die for their teams. So when Bonner returned to Indiana for the first time in a Mercury jersey, the boos were deafening. Not because she's a bad person, not because of who she dates, but because she quit on a team during its hardest moment.
They made a big deal about her getting booed. Now, Sophie Cunningham was getting booed. Look, listen.
And here's where it gets worse. Instead of addressing the situation, the Mercury and Alyssa Thomas tried to deflect. Rather than show humility or respect for the fans, Alyssa reportedly fired back at the crowd, saying things like, "I came to a real basketball team." She clapped at fans, threw shade, played the villain, all while her partner, the one who walked away,
Aaliyah Boston stated she ain't got nothing to do with her. She do not want to deal with the DeWanna Bonner drama.
Played quietly and kept her head down. The energy mismatch was stunning, and for many it confirmed that Alyssa was carrying a personal grudge that only made things worse. Let's talk facts. Booing is part of sports. Legends have been booed.
You don't even have to be a fanatic to understand boos come with the territory. I've never seen a season without boos. Every time I go to a New York Liberty game and the Indiana Fever play, Sophie Cunningham just steps on the court or gets announced or anything, it's met with boos from the crowd.
LeBron was booed in Cleveland. Kevin Durant got roasted in Oklahoma. Joel Embiid caught heat just for choosing Team USA over France.
LeBron, when he left Cleveland, people were burning his jerseys. People were booing him every time he was back in Cleveland. Joel Embiid, he decided to play for Team USA instead of playing for France, and he was met with boos because...
This isn't new. It's part of the deal when you leave a franchise and return wearing the wrong jersey. So why was Bonner, and by extension Alyssa, expecting immunity?
For DeWanna Bonner to be immune to this type of, a reaction from fans, I think is actually and completely and totally delusional.
Fans felt gaslit, being told their normal, passionate sports behavior was now disrespectful. Kalia Copper even spoke out in defense of Bonner, calling the fans distasteful. That only added more fuel.
Kalia Copper spoke out on the boos against that fan base in a post-game interview.
I think she handled it well. I don't understand, she's a legend, and just all the things that she's done for the league, and just the disrespect, I can't get down with it. They booed her. She didn't say a word to the crowd. People talk some trash to her, but, we had her back. But it's just very distasteful for what their fan base is doing as far as when it comes to DB, because it's just like she's just the sweetest soul. And the situation didn't work for her, and, that's just not what she wanted or whatever. But it's just, we don't need all of that. It's just unnecessary.
Because fans weren't booing her resume. They were reacting to how she exited. And let's be honest, this isn't just about Bonner. It's about something deeper. The moment Caitlin Clark entered the league, everything changed. The Fever became the center of the WNBA universe. Ratings exploded, headlines shifted, and suddenly players who once flew under the radar found themselves being held accountable by media, by fans, and by a much larger audience. And not everyone likes that.
You are allowed to be talked about. All right. You are allowed to be talked about as long as they are keeping it within the game and, not really attacking anything personal or talking about family members.
Some veterans like Bonner and Thomas seemed uncomfortable with the spotlight now shining brighter and harsher than ever before. Instead of embracing it, they're pushing back hard. But the more they push, the more the public notices the cracks. Because here's the reality. Bonner's numbers didn't justify her ego. During her short time with the Fever, she underperformed, missed shots, struggled in the system, and when she was replaced, or unofficially, by players like Ari McDonald and Chloe Bibby, the Fever started winning, without drama, without distractions.
Honestly, that got nothing to do with me. I think DB returned because we were playing Phoenix, and so that happened to be that. The fans just do what they wanted to do, but for us, it's about paying attention to what we have to do here, and that was coming in and getting a big win, which we were able to do.
The trade wasn't even official, yet the results spoke volumes. The Fever didn't just survive without Bonner, they improved. And when she returned to Indiana, the fans knew it. That's why the boos were loud. That's why the energy was electric. It wasn't hate, it was a statement. You walked away and we moved on. Better without you. And yet, Alyssa Thomas couldn't accept that. Rather than show leadership, she fueled the fire. And when the Mercury lost, in front of a packed house that came for the spectacle, she chose silence. She walked away from the mic. Let her team take the fine. Let the story spin out of control. All because, deep down, she knew the truth. The Fever didn't need Bonner. They didn't fear Thomas, and the league doesn't revolve around them anymore.
Aaliyah Boston stated she ain't got nothing to do with her. She do not want to deal with the DeWanna Bonner.
It revolves around something else now, something bigger. And that brings us right back to Caitlin Clark, because even when she's not playing, she's the reason the seats are filled. Even when she's off the court, her name drives the headlines. And even in a drama that wasn't about her, she proved to be the true standard for composure, leadership, and accountability. Meanwhile, the ones throwing the most shade were also the first to disappear when it mattered. So the next time someone tries to paint Clark as soft or overhyped, just remember this moment, because when things got uncomfortable, she stood tall and others ran for cover.
footage has emerged of Caitlin Clark being heckled by fans, but keeping her composure and high. Alyssa Thomas will be getting fined for doing this in Indianapolis.
Alyssa Thomas in that game to a noticeable degree. She was complaining about it seemingly everything throughout the entire game. So I'm sure Fever fans took some solace.
Look, check her out. She telling somebody to come down there. She is telling somebody to come down there. She's like, meet me after the game. Look at her. Meet me after the game. Alyssa Thomas and the Indiana Fever fan base, the big rivalry.
Thomas just told fans around the bench she came to play for a real team several times.
And what did Alyssa do? She went hiding. Alyssa Thomas had all the smoke. She had the big smoke. And Alyssa Thomas refused to go into the press conference. Stop hiding, Alyssa.
She refused to speak to the media, making a complete fool of herself in school.
So let's get this straight. Alyssa Thomas clapped at fans, stirred up drama, and then vanished when it was time to speak. DeWanna Bonner bailed on a team mid-season and expected a hero's welcome. And yet, through all the noise, the tension, and the headlines, one name keeps rising above the rest: Caitlin Clark. She didn't play in the game, but her leadership was felt. She didn't boo, fight, or duck the media. She's just been everything the league needs, and more. While others are dodging accountability, Clark is setting the standard. While others are rattled by criticism, she stays composed, focused, and professional. Always showing up, even when it's uncomfortable. She's the reason arenas are packed, the reason new fans care, the reason WNBA ratings are breaking records, and the reason we're even having this conversation. So if you believe in what Caitlin stands for, class, competitiveness, and real leadership, then show it. Drop 100% in the comments right now if you ride with Caitlin Clark and you're tired of the disrespect. Because this league isn't just changing. Caitlin Clark is leading that change. And the ones who can't handle that, they're exposing themselves. One fine, one tantrum, and one excuse at a time.